Welcome to Business Leaders Coach, where we educate, enable, equip, and empower you to become the best leader that you can be. My name is Toyosi Mbi, founder of Business Leaders Coach. And at Business Leaders Coach, we work with CEOs and their leadership teams, companies that are scaling up and want to accelerate their learning. On this podcast, I bring you practical steps that you can apply in your leadership today. We draw wisdom from some of the best business books, bring on guests and entrepreneurs and authors as well. You can go to businessleaderscoach.com/podcast, subscribe so that we can send each episode and any templates or tools that come with these subsequent episodes. Welcome to episode 49. This is part 3 in a 5 series on how to fail forward. Today we're going to be looking at, have I done everything I could? Sometimes when we fail at something, we don't want to take the responsibility. I know that for myself, sometimes I want to blame somebody. I want to find a reason, a situation for it just makes it easier to say, well, it wasn't my fault. And so for this part, we want to really talk about the importance of playing our own role and asking the question, have I done everything I could? We find it easier to want to blame others or the situation or the circumstances. And what we find is that if we did everything we could, it might not have been a failure. Many of you perhaps have heard of the whole series Chicken Soup for the Soul by authors Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. It's a great story that can help you see the role that we need to play. Now, before this book was published, they went to 144 publishers and were rejected. Jack Canfield says, if we had given up after 100 publishers, I would not be where I am now. And so in one of his posts on Facebook, he actually put, I encourage you to reject rejection. And if someone says no, just say next. And so, have I done everything I could? Here's what really happened that we perhaps might not be aware of, because he shares what happened after he did finally get a publisher. And he said, when I finally did get a publisher, he said, we'll be lucky to sell 20,000 books. I told him my goal was to sell 1.5 million in the first 18 months. He laughed and said I was crazy. Well, today he laughs on his private jet. After getting the publisher secured, they realized that they needed to do everything possible to make things work. And the reason I'm sharing this story is because, as you can see, it was definitely a challenge for them just to get the publisher. But what they found was that getting the publisher was the first step. There was still a lot more that they needed to do to make it work. They got input from many bestsellers, authors, but when they sought the advice of Ron Scolastico, who told them, if you would go every day to a very large tree and take 5 swings at it with a very sharp axe, eventually, no matter how large the tree, it would have to come down. So out of this advice, Jack and Mark developed what they called the Rule of 5. This simply means that every day they would do 5 specific things that will move their goal towards completion. And with this plan, they were able to sell over 123 million copies in just North America alone. And they sold over 500 million worldwide. So the question we need to ask ourselves, have I done everything I could? Is there something that I could have done differently? Could you have responded in a different way, planned better, involved more people, involved the right people, get the right advice, implemented the right advice? All these are questions that we can ask ourselves. Have I done everything I could? Did you have a strategy? Did you have the right strategy? Did you implement the right strategy? So we're going to take responsibility in as much as we were asking, is there something to learn? We've also got to ask, is there something that I still could have done in moving this forward in terms of why it came out as a failure? And as we're seeing that this is temporary failure, I hope they're beginning to see this now. So the mindset shift statement is, I make sure I am responsible for playing my part. Then I let go. I make sure I am responsible for playing my part. Then I let go. The reason why you should let go is because, as we've been saying, you can see that it's important for you to also step aside and ask, what do I need to learn? And also then accept the fact that failure is part of life. So if you haven't taken full responsibility, that's one area. But if you have taken full responsibility, then let it go. You've done your part. Then you can go to lesson 2, which was all about, what do I still need to learn? And then you need to also go to lesson 1, which is making sure that you are accepting that failure is part of life. And with these kind of concepts, you can begin to understand the importance of letting go and not allowing the failure to define who you are. Because again, that's where the biggest damage is. That's why we're afraid of moving forward after we go through a failure. So the reason why you should let go is because you can then step aside and ask, what do I need to learn? And if there's obviously something that might come out of that, but then you can also go to our first lesson, which is to accept the fact that failure is part of life. And so it's a very important process you want to go through, because you want to let go. You want to make sure that if you've done everything you could, if you've played your role, I make sure that I'm responsible for playing my part, and you've done that, then you can go to our second lesson on this topic, which was about learning, which is what do I still need to learn? And then you can then go to lesson 1, which is all about accepting the fact that failure is going to play a part on your journey to success. So if this is helping you and you think it might help others, please share it with your team members, your friends, your colleagues, your company, because you want everybody to have the same mindset. We all need to learn how to fail forward. And if you are a business owner and you want some support with you and your team, you want to schedule time, you can go to businessleaderscoach.com, schedule a time, or you can email me, toye@businessleaderscoach.com. Love to catch up and see how we can support you and your team members to build on this idea of failing forward, so that you can build the team, the company that you want to see, because there's so many opportunities and failure does hold us back. For now, this is Toye Osunbi. Next, I'm going to drop the 4th episode, and if you are watching this after or listening to this, then you can go to Business Leaders Coach and you'll find it there. It's about forgiving yourself, others, and moving forward. A very important part of what holds us back, that stops us from failing forward. Look forward to speaking to you. Toye Osunbi. Speak to you soon. Thank you.